The following is the extract of a course linked in the description.
Alright guys, thank you for joining me on this new video. What we're gonna look at today is we're gonna start exploring Equalizer. I'm just gonna go through some of the equalizer that I have and talk to you a little bit more about the equalizing process. In another video, we're gonna go ahead and apply and go ahead and equalize some of those tracks. So with for equalizer for using an equalizer, basically what we want to do is there are two things that we want to do with that. We either want to cut some frequencies or we want to boost some frequencies. Those are just the two actions that you're going to have there. Let me go ahead and select one of the basic equalizer, and you will have that too if you have FS Studio with you. And let me place that song over here. What you're gonna notice is over here we want to make sure that in this part over here and as well in this part over here, usually those are, I think, the ones that are a little bit more critical. I mean everything is critical, but over here, because especially if you're using you're doing a hip hop, the kicks and the bass will play in this part. We don't want uh, other instruments that their frequencies are not here to be over here. So if there is an instrument that have a lot of sounds playing over here, we want to make sure that we remove those frequencies from that instrument. So we're gonna let the kick and the bass shine. There has been a couple times where I would use a plugin, but just the way that plugin, the preset of that plugin would be set up, you would see that it's playing. There is just a lot of data in this part over here, and I will have my kicks right, and I'm making sure I'm selecting my kicks right. But when I have the kicks here, the kicks is even at full, but for some reason I'm not even, not for some reason I know what's the problem, but you will not be able to hear the kick properly. It's only when I'm able to come later on in a mixing stage that when I'm able to remove the frequencies from that other instrument, then the kick is able to shine. So this is one thing to keep in mind. And as well over here, usually this is where you have cymbals, hi-hats playing, and some of those other things there. We want to make sure as well that we don't have other instruments playing over here. That's not their main principal frequencies. We don't want to have it conflict there. So if we feel like something is playing there, we want to remove it. Okay, so that is part of removing the frequencies from some instruments. But at the same time, when we're playing an instrument, there are some elements of that instrument. The frequencies are usually the main frequencies, and usually what I try to do is I try to boost them up a little bit to to make the instrument shine, right? So keep in mind, the people who usually mix, and some, I mean everybody mix, but the ones that uh, multi-million dollars project producer and artists are using, most of them or a lot of them will have gone to schools to learn a little bit how to better make those products. There will be maybe some exceptions. I've just learned, just by experience and hanging around the studio, but it takes a lot of years to really be extremely proficient at mixing, right? And you could spend a lot of time trying to find the perfect mix as well. My philosophy is I don't have an artist right now. I'm just trying to make the song pop a little bit, right? So if somebody listen to it, it is clean. So I'm not trying to spend like 2 3 hours. I was doing that before, but now I have just realized that a lot of the things that I was doing before, maybe it's still important to do it, but I don't find at this stage it is necessary. I just want to have a clean mix really quickly and move on to something else, right, to the next track. So this is something to keep in mind. You could come up here and spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. There are mix session that goes for days, right? Depending on the number of tracks or how creative you want to be within that session. So keep that in mind. And with that kind of mixing session where it goes for days, then you're really trying to be really precise with everything. That's not really the goal of what I'm going to show you here. My goal over here is to show you how you can get a decent mix really quickly, so you can, get moving with the next track, the next project, or the next song. Okay. So with that being discussed, let's come up here and let's have a look at some of the plugins that I have. Maybe you're gonna see some of them that some that you like, and I'm gonna explain a little bit what they do. So this one over here is basic. Over here, I use that. I like them a lot because it comes with this it's part of the FS Studio plugin list. That's basically the FS Studio team that made this plugin over here. And the good thing with that is it is really efficient, optimized for FS Studio and the CPU. Right? You see over here, it's not really using a lot of power, but you're gonna see when I'm gonna add some of the other plugins there, it's gonna start using some of them. Some of the CPU there. What I don't really like about this one is I find it's not really convenient for me to add. Just want to add the band that I want to, right, and remove if I don't like a band to be there. I want to remove it. Over here, it's a little bit clumsy for me to do that. I need to come up here and turn them off, or I need to either come up here and select one of the presets that have been here. It's a little bit clumsy for me to do that. The other thing as well, if I want to select a shape of the equalizer over here, it is just giving me the name. It's not giving me the representation of it. So I really need to know what is a high pass, what is a low pass, and all that, which is fine. But sometimes, when you're working on a song for a long time, you need to, okay, high pass, how's the shape of the high pass, right? It's taking a little bit of time to process that, but when you see the shape, you're like, yeah, this is the shape I'm looking for, and you just select the shape there, right? But this one is really the meat and potato. Really, you if it's good for what it's doing. Use it basically on most of all the tracks, if not most of them. So yeah, so this is the parametric, and I'll recommend that you're gonna use that as well, and we're gonna be using that as we move forward here. The other plugins that I have, we have this one over here, the TR5Q EQ73. This one I use it as well a lot because it is really simple. I like the way they have approach equalizing here. It doesn't give me a lot of buttons. When I just see a lot of buttons, a lot of things to turn in, to turn on, turn off, to turn over here, left and right, it's just too much processing power for me, and I'm not too fan of that. I like when it's really simple. You give me what I need right away. I like it, right? And we're gonna be using that. Um, and this one is part of the T-Rex 5 plugin bundle. This one is the EQ73, and let me just come up here. I have it here, the T-Rex 5 Max. You have different version of that bundle, but this is the one I have, and it comes with a full list of plugins, right? So let's come back over here. Let me show you some of the other ones. So this is again part of the T-Rex 5. It's similar to the EQ73 that we just saw, but the EQ over here are 3 bands. This one comes with 4 bands, and just because it's coming with 4 bands, it's adding like so many buttons. If you really want to be precise, this is where you're gonna go and look for some plugins like that. But I'm just really gonna try to get the quick mix really quickly, and this just get in the way, right? This one is gonna get in the way for me. But right away, you're gonna see over here, as we start going over here, I just start loading those two ones over here. You're already seeing the power that is taking over here on my 3D parameter AQ2 is still at 0 over here, right? So let's keep going. We have the EQPA. This is how it looks like. It's a little bit similar to the EQ73, But the thing that I like with that is the EQ73, especially for everything that is part of the high frequencies, the the boost of the frequency and selecting the frequency itself, it's already combined over here. So I don't need to select it just like here. Over here is separate, but on this one is combined. So just a little bit less things for me to turn and to touch and do all those stuff. So that's why I like this one. But it's a little bit of the same process, same functionality. The additional thing that the EQ73 also has is over here. This is a high pass. So if you based on the frequency that you're selecting here, everything is only everything above that frequency that is gonna be allowed, but everything below it is not gonna be allowed. So this is a nice touch as well. If I need this, this is where I'm gonna come and use it. But usually for everything that is where I'm cutting and I'm doing some high pass and low pass, I usually prefer to use the parametric just because it's a little bit more precise, because those options over here, they do come set with some some type of preset. So you, because you have a slope, let's say over here if I come, let me select sorry, let me select this over here. You see this is a high pass that I selected here, right? But you're gonna see like that high pass, this is the slope that it has, but I might not want that slope, right? With the EQ73, I'm not able to change the slope that I have here, right? Usually what I might want to do is I might want to have it like really steep like this, or you could go this is the different slope that you have, but I might want to have it really steep like this. So I'm really precise on where I'm cutting that off. But you don't have that on the EQ73. It's already preset over here, which would be nice if that's what I wanted, just like this one. But in this case I want to be really precise with where I'm where I have that cutoff. Okay, so let's keep going. So we have the EQPA over here. Let's add, we have the EQ PB that we have here. Again, very similar to the EQPA, but also just as far as the functionalities. But as far as the bands, you're gonna see it's very similar to the EQ81 because it has 4 bands there. And usually the bands that those plugins are adding, the additional ones, it's in the middle over here that you're gonna find. So we have the high frequency here that you're gonna see it's about we have about the 2.5 to 20k. We have the 10 hertz over here, right? If we go to the low end over here, again we have 50 hertz over here, 30 to 400. But in the middle over here, this is where they split that 1500 hertz, and now we have one band of 500 hertz and another band of 5k hertz. Okay, so let me close that. Let's keep going. One that I would really recommend if you can get it, there is a lot of emulation of that plugin, is the Pool Tech, right? It's called the EQP1A, but the main physical um, equalizer that is modeled from the name is basically the Pool Tech. And this one I like it. I don't I use it for very specific things, usually for kicks and for bass as well, right? I like it a lot, and sometimes well for like the hi hats as well. From time to time, I might want to change up a little bit, but I like it because I find that you can really boost a lot of the high or a lot of the low over here, and it doesn't saturate or clip. It's still really sweet with the sound. So the way it was just designed, or the way it was programmed, is really nice. I really like the Protect. So there is a lot of emulation of those. This one is part of the TRX 5 bundle that I've shown you, but you have some other manufacturers of plugins there that have their own version. If you can get one, go ahead and do it. I think you're really gonna like it. Let's keep going with just a few more. We're almost done. So this was a pull take. I have the TR5 equal over here, which is just a graphic EQ. This one I like, but the issue with this is again because so this is the equal over here. You're saying it's using quite a bit of power, and I cannot really. I mean, I could, but I don't want to use it on a lot of tracks just because of the power it's already using over here. And you're gonna see if we were without using all those EQ there, we were all the way down to I think 0.2% you seeing over here, right? So when you start adding all those EQ there on all different tracks, it does add up. This is not gonna make my computer sluggish, but just keep in mind if you have a lot of tracks, that could be an issue. The other thing that I don't like too much is just the representation over here of that graph that I just find like it doesn't really give me a lot of reading there, but I like the way where if I need a certain band I can add it really quickly. If I want to remove a specific band I can do that as well. If I want to select the shape of a band, right, I just come up here, it gives me over here what that band look like, so really quickly I know how I can go ahead and modify it, which is just really nice over here, right? But just for those couple things there, I don't use that too much. The one I would recommend, if you could get another recommendation, Fab Filter. I think it's probably the best EQ plugin. I'm gonna get it by the end of this year. I'm waiting to see what they're gonna do for sales for the end of the year. Mostly because the price. I mean, it's a little bit pricey as well. I think it's in the 179. Let's go over here to dollars. 179, right? So yeah, so usually most of the plugins, if you buy a standalone for equalizer, it's gonna be in the 50s, max 100. But this one, just because they know how good they work on this project, on this plugin over here, it really does deserve that price. It gives you great reading over here. Adding the band that you like is that you want is really easy. Selecting the shape that you want as well is really easy. But the best part is it's really uh, optimized and efficient on the CPU, just like the parametric that we have here. So I did a demo of it and really like it. I'm just waiting for those end of year sales. So yeah, this is the TR equal. Um, this one that I have over here is a EQ 432. Too many buttons. That's just that's just way too confusing. It's way too much that I need, right? If I'm looking at a hi hat, I don't. Yeah, it's way too much, right? But this one over here, I never used it, but I did some when I was looking at it the first time, I researched it a little bit, and it's used a lot when people are mixing. You could also use it on a single track, but people use it like when they go ahead and when they master the track. That's when they're gonna that's when they're gonna use that the final version, right? So this is what we have over here. This is all of those are part of the TR5, TRAX 5. So part of the IK multimedia that I have over here. This is part of it. There is another one that I just want to show you. This one is the last one. Is the EQ Citro 295. There are as well a couple of versions of that plugin from different manufacturers, but this one that I'm showing you here is part of the Arturia FX collection. So it's okay. It's okay. I don't use that a lot. I like the design, but that it doesn't really give me the flexibility that I want to. Right, so I cannot have like a bigger slope over here if I wanted to, and as well just the bands that is providing me over here. I just feel like yeah, you're really limiting me over here, right? So it's okay, but just because of the way it's what I'm looking for is not really there. It could work for some projects for specific instruments, if you know how it works and what you're looking for, what you want to accomplish, right? But for my day-to-day EQ or mixing, I just don't reach for that one too much, mostly because I just find that there is a lot of limitation, things that I want that it doesn't have, right? So this over here is just a walkthrough of the different plugins that I'm using for EQ. The ones that we're gonna be using a lot as, so I'm gonna stop the video in a bit here. In the next video that we're gonna look at, we're gonna go ahead and apply those EQ to the different tracks here. The one we're gonna be using a lot, and this one you should have it, is the parametric EQ2 over here, the TR5 EQ73, and probably as well the pull take over here that we're gonna be using. But I wanted just to give you a little bit of a workflow of the different plugins, just to point out some things here and there, just so you become a little bit comfortable. You might have your own plugin that you're using for EQ. Go ahead and use that. Just make sure that you focus on the high concept, right? The concept of the mixing, what we're trying to accomplish, and you should be fine. Okay, so let's see each other in the next video.